soon as I click on that, cool. Как юг там скат now, just getting warmed up here. Pretty sure we're gonna try this. I'm gonna get punted off of TikTok because that's what they do. But I'm gonna do it anyway. What happens is that they'll let me get back onto Restream temporarily. They'll probably let me stream tonight, but then next week when I try to stream, they'll shut me down again. That's just how it is. Yeah. Let's have a quick look at what this looks like. Yep. Well, you can kind of see what we're doing. Too bad you can't. Oh, you can go landscape on a stream on TikTok. That's kind of cool. Okay, we'll run it for now. We'll see what happens. Dance Pitagui. We'll let things warm up for a few minutes. You know what I want to do is double check really quick because I had an issue last week with the audio. So I'm going to take just a second and play the audio on the live stream on just a second and play the audio on the live stream on
Kaya shoge mao, kaya shoge ma kan negaito ano sam.
play the audio on the live stream on
Kaya shoge mao, kaya shoge ma kan negaito ano sam.
Okay, that sounds good. There's a little doubling there, and it gives me an idea of the stream delay and all of that kind of stuff. But we don't have that weird echo that we had last time, so. All right, let me get my comments set up so I can see what's going on there. Chat. Hey, Tansi Cameron, Mananto Nia. Oh, yeah, Facebook comments, right on. So I'm on Facebook tonight, on the Facebook page, and on YouTube tonight. And we're going to try TikTok, though I know they're going to punt me. That's just how it is. They let me back on for a bit. I might have to just start like video gaming or something on, I don't know. I don't have time for that. But that's what they want me to do. They want me to be playing video games on TikTok, which just seems, that's, I guess, what they're going for these days. Okay, let's get into this. Last week, where did we leave off here? Whoops, we are about 20... I know this recording is about 63 minutes, I think. And we're about 26 minutes in. Where's the halfway mark here? There we are. 28 minutes. We're 28 minutes into this recording, which is amazing because, like normally, I would say 28 minutes is like, normally I would be transcribing at about an hour a minute. I don't think I have 28 hours into this. Do I have 20 hours into this? Maybe. I guess I should keep track. I'm not keeping very good track of how long it's taking to transcribe this. That's okay. Okay, so where did we leave off last time? He was talking about, we had a couple tricky sentences here.
Kagwe chimgawi ane tante gi tohtian tanse gi aispai koyano magnika chimon.
Right. He was thinking about if, I'm just going to play that one more time just so I can double check my audio levels again here.
Kagwe chimgawi ane tante gi tohtian tanse gi aispai koyano magnika chimon.
So if we do a little bit of review on the story, this boy was brought back from the Raven Hills people and back to Cree Camp, I guess, and he was raised by a grandmother, I guess, if I recall that part correctly. And so there was a bit in there where we're super paraphrasing here. Um, there was a bit in there where all of the boys would secretly sit outside of the, I'll say the Warriors Lodge, Ogichitawak. They would sit outside there and try and listen for when the Ogichitawak were going to go scouting. And so to try and like snoop, I guess, like to try and follow them or whatever, because they all really wanted to be a part of this, of the Ogichitawak. Anyway, so this one boy, Ega Gawi, Ega Gawihuit, Ega Gawihuit, I think that's his name, but the one with no name. Anyway, um, gets up and realizes that the Ogichitawak had already left in the morning, and so he left and tried to follow them. Surely they went, in this direction, because that's the direction of the, I think, the Blackfoot camps or something. Anyway, and then so he walked for several days and didn't find the scouts, the Ogichitawak, but he did find a camp, and he battled with this Blackfoot who was guarding these horses, and he defeated him basically. And so that's kind of where we're at in the story, where he says, well, let's just go through here.
Kagi pimsko kaskteoyas takmina kagin tomsko kagin tonut na kagin to sago hakawa.
Yeah.
Misatemo kaganoimat.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about this is, and I was going to say, I'm not in my normal spot tonight here, so I'm just getting propped up so I can see if there's comments and stuff on the various things. And then the other thing I want, this is going to be, if you're watching on TikTok right now, this isn't my normal format. So if you jump over to, if you're on Facebook, you can watch the stream in, I thought it was 4K, but I think it's like 2K. I don't know, whatever. It's like high def on YouTube and on Facebook. I am slowly transitioning away from TikTok for my live streams because of the gaming thing. And we'll see. I'll be punished next week. They're letting me stream on TikTok right now, but next week it'll be like, nope, you can't. So we're live on Facebook right now. You can go watch the stream there. And I'm also live on my YouTube if you want to skip the phone format. What's super cool about that region we just played, and by the way, I'm headed back to Sweetgrass. Actually, well, I'm headed to Saskatoon Tuesday to start the next round of recording. So you can actually find these stories if you're interested. I'm a little tiny bit slow on getting them online. Technically, for the project, I have until April to get them onto like a website or whatever. But we're trying to slowly trickle them out there so people can have a chance to kind of go over them. But I'll just bring up the page here where you can find the stories online. This is it right here. So we're calling the project Sweetgrass Stories, a 21st Century Perspective. And as I'm there this week, or as I get time this week, I'll put some more stories. I've put about 5 up there right now. So there's almost, maybe just a little over 2 hours worth of stories on there. I think in total I have about, I want to say maybe 11 hours of stories so far. and as we just moved, been super busy, so I haven't had time to put these online over the last little bit. Moving is not my favorite thing, but we're working on this story here, how Sweetgrass became chief. So you can find the story on this YouTube channel, Sweetgrass Stories, 21st Century's Perspective. I think I put the link in my TikTok bio. I don't know if you can probably Google this and it might come up, or you search for it on YouTube, it might come up. I'm not sure. We only started this channel a few weeks ago. Yeah, end of August. Anyway, the stories are there if you want to find them, and we're transcribing that one story, how Sweetgrass became chief. What's super exciting about this for me right now is just realizing this one region right here, everything turned blue. There's no issues with this at all, which is sort of the goal for transcribing for us. When we're transcribing, when we're doing a transcription, the goal of the transcription basically is to have all of the words recognized. We're working on spell checkers for additional languages right now. There's a few that are sort of partly built, I think, and we're trying to get at least one or two more ready for this conference in Winnipeg, the Algonquian Conference. If you're a language learner, you can use this tool right now. Even if you're not learning like Nehui and Plains Cree, you can transcribe any language with this right now. And as we find, or there's a piece of technology, they're actually presenting it at this conference. It's called a Gramble. It looks like it could get the basis of a spell checker in place, or like an FST or something. I'm really looking forward to going to this conference and like meeting with all of the people working in this space right now, and just like swapping ideas about technology and all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, all of that to say that the exciting part about this is like, I just love it that like this whole thing is, there's no issues with this particular piece of text here. And basically what he's saying is these ones that I've found here, these Blackfeet, I'm going to tell a story about this Blackfoot camp that I found, and this one Mina Waga Gaginto Miskwak, this one that I went and found, that I fought with, and that I defeated, the one who was taking care of those Mistatamwa, taking care of the horses. We'll get into some of the grammar and stuff in a bit. We can talk about this, like Mistatamwa Gaganawemat, right? But for now, what we'll do is we're refreshing our memory a little bit about where we are in the story, and then we'll start transcribing a little more here.
Ego hanigaut ne no himaskusia. Ego nihko apahten awa.
Utenam, he took some, this grass here, this grass that you all see.
Euko omagas te oyaset omikum. This is the blood of a Blackfoot.
So that one's self-explanatory.
Egi pahko hamanek tahnemo komanoma.
Egota, missed one in there. Let me play that again.
Egi pahko hamanek tahnemo komanoma.
Egota. Why did that say it's spell checked and then it changed? That's weird.
Egi pahko hamanek tahnemo komanoma.
If you're on TikTok with us right now, or any of the other channels, can you just verify that the audio sounds good on your end when I play the recording? Just drop me a comment. There's always one, eh? Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Should always call me names in the language. That's best. So then he tucked his knife away. Bakwaham. I think that was like, let's make this bigger. Bakwaham. Like to put it away. Oh, he wipes it. Bakwaham. He wipes it dry. Egota. I guess he's talking about that grass that he took. He wiped the knife off on the grass, I guess.
Egisahkamksian egisin pahagana.
There's some discussion about what that is. Egis ahkamksian. Egis nipahat. I'll have to ask Wes about that when I get there because I don't, I think I understand that word, but I don't quite.
Eksesatapui kagi pesipuehtet.
Okay. Exestapui pesipuitit. Carson says after he killed it. What is that word? Do you understand that this one here, the first word, egis akamksian?
Egisahkamksian egisin pahagana.
What does that mean? Ahkamksu. Ahkamksiu? No, ahkamksu. I think it would be. That's going to be a short I probably. That's the word we were like, because we couldn't find it in the dictionary. What does that mean? It means to finish. After he finished killing that Blackfoot. Yeah, okay. So if I look that up, finishes. So Gisahkam, there it is right there. Gisahkamksu. Why couldn't we find this last week? Gisahkamksu. Okay, let me finish with an activity, completes, commits a terrible deed. That's interesting. Okay, let me fix that one now that we know what it is. Thanks for that, Carson. Miasananma. Mr. Witi, you helped us out a lot. So let me just fix that. So it is gise, gisakamksu. Short A, gisakamksian. There it is right there. Cool. Miasan. Okay, let's keep going here. Exestapui.
Eksesatapui kagi pesipuehtet.
Okay. Grab this chunk here.
Niisogis kaunisa tipskaupntun suoskaatseipiepen paite spiitsakaskiihtaat.
All right. Curtis on Facebook says the audio is good. Thank you. Nisogisagao and Nisotipskau, he says. Let's have a listen again.
Niisogis kaunisa tipskaupntun suoskaatseipiepen paite spiitsakaskiihtaat.
Mitoneso squats. That's what I'm hearing.
Niisogis kaunisa tipskaupntun suoskaatseipiepen paite spiitsakaskiihtaat.
Pimpayit. Pimpayu, that word today, what do you say, nisto tipskau?
Niisogis kaunisa tipskaupntun suoskaatseipiepen paite spiitsakaskiihtaat.
I hear 2 days and 2 nights is what I'm hearing. Mitniso squats a pimpayit. Pimpayu today would be understood as like driving, but in this case, this is like, so I guess, let's just look that up. It's just interesting context, like a pimpayu. Running, I guess. Travels. Rides along. Yeah, so the context I generally hear this, the context I generally hear this in nowadays is to drive, but move along, I guess. Yeah, it's interesting. Pimpayu. Antinace is interesting. We have a word in Ojibwe for day. Oh, I'm going to butcher this. Nishogun? Nijogun is 2 days. Like traveling for days is when we use it. Cool. Carson, as far as can. Yeah, let me see if I can get that last word there. Let me just, I'd like to pull the region over and just catch the last bit.
Tun suoskaatseipiepen paite spiitsakaskiihtaat.
Ispitsagaskihtat. Ispitse. Is that a preverb even? Whoops. I didn't even know. Ispitse. To that extent. Until he was finished. Until he was successful, I guess. Ispitsagaskihtat. Interesting. Are you hearing Nisto as well? let me slow it down because I'm hearing nisogisagao nisotipskao. Let me just slow it down a tiny bit.
Nisogiskau nisotipskau tunsuuskua tiipim paiti spiitsekaskihtaat.
Yeah, I'm still hearing nisogisagao nisotipskao. That's interesting. Mit nisosquats ipipimpayet e spiitsekaskihtaat. Interesting. Let's keep going.
Egipesohketsahaatan himsatema.
Sogetsahuat. He drove those horses really hard, I guess. Isse? What do you say there?
Egipesohketsahaatan himsatema.
Epe soge itissahuat. Anehe misattemo, I think he said.
Egipesohketsahaatan himsatema.
One more time.
Egipesohketsahaatan himsatema.
Yeah. It's hard to recreate that. I have to practice saying it a couple times. Dance says, let's see if I can read this. Mama tawa tipko pateo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. What does that mean? Mama tawa matipko pateo. Something about running something? Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Beat the way. I'm going to come back on the second pass. So usually what I do is first pass on the transcription, and we're like just about halfway, which is amazing. Like we're just about halfway through this transcription. So we're at 28 minutes, 43 seconds. 28 minutes, 40 seconds. The recording is 63 minutes. I used to transcribe at about an hour a minute. I think I'm probably down to maybe 40 minutes per minute, or maybe even half an hour, depending. With Wes, because I've worked on his recordings a little bit, and he speaks so clearly, right? I think I'm moving a little faster, but this is pretty amazing. Like, to be 28 minutes into a transcription is like, there's definitely a lot of work there. Welcome on Facebook and YouTube if you're hanging out on either of those channels. I'm trusting that Restream is pushing through comments here, so if you're, do me a favor and just drop a comment in every once in a while so I know that those are still working. I'd appreciate that. And yeah, it looks like we're good on TikTok. So I heard Nisto that time. I'm hearing Egwa Nisto Gisagao, I think. Nope, that's not what it is. That's not what it is. He's saying something else there. What is he saying? Sounds like in Stogisagayik something wapanik. Wapanik is the last. Stogisagayik. Can you use that Nisto as a preverb? Stogisagayik. It sounds like Egwa Einsto Gisagayik Egwa something.
Ego hen stogis kaigo mego he atiwa panik.
So, and after 3 days, on the third day, would you say it that way? On the third day, as it was becoming dawn? Uma? Lonely. Carson says lonely. What would the word be? Do you know what the word is in Cree?
Ego hen stogis kaigo mego he atiwa panik.
What word are you hearing there, Carson? If you know it, can you type it out for us? I can flag this too. We might just flag that. I think that's what I'm hearing, but I'm gonna flag it for now so I can ask Wes, like, what did you say here? So I'm gonna see him on Wednesday. So
Stogis gao ego homa say ego he pe tapit.
he'd been riding for 3 days. Awin pan, is that what you're hearing? Interesting.
Ego hen stogis kaigo mego he atiwa panik.
Huh. Awin pan. Not hearing that in there.
Stogis gao ego homa say ego he pe tapit.
Asai guaipe te tapit. Uma egua.
Stogis gao ego homa say ego he pe tapit.
Asai.
Stogis gao ego homa say ego he pe tapit.
Yeah, eguaipe te tapit, he says. Been right for 3 days already. He'd been riding, I guess. Ipe te tapit. So it makes me think, because he repeats it right here, Nistogisagao. I wonder if you could do it that way for 3 days. I guess that this is really semantics, and this is a linguistic, like a question for somebody who understands this better than I do. Is there a difference between that? I don't know. It seems to spell check both ways, so we'll call it good. Turn blue, we're good. Keep going.
Ego hen stogis kaigo.
That Instagisagaik, I have a suspicion that that's fine. That's what that is. I think it's like Ego Instagisagaik Uma. It sounds like, my hunch is like on the third day when it was, as it was becoming dawn. I think that's
Stogis gao ego homa say ego he pe tapit.
for 3 days he'd been riding.
He pe pim sa hoto he. Misatema.
Whoops, not that button. Epe bim be bim.
He pe pim sa hoto he. Misatema.
This what oh he Mr. Timwa. Tansi Brad, thanks for the comment on Facebook. Hope the audio is good. Let me know if there's any issues. If you're on TikTok, we are on Facebook and YouTube tonight. Oh, and I realize I better plug my phone in or it's gonna die. TikTok, actually TikTok will keep going, but I'll have no sense of what's happening over there. I'm actually watching my own live from another channel. There we go. All right, should be good. Let's keep going.
Kagi nakska tekuta.
Nagiskoat Eguta.
Kagi nakska tekuta.
Nukskoy, I understand, is like to meet somebody, but in this context, he's talking about the horses, right? So then, what Nagisko encounter? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, to meet or encounter those horses he had encountered.
Untawahtawa hu. Nehi untawahtawa.
Ntuwatawa. Nehiontuwatawa. Do I know that word? Ntuwatawa. What does that mean?
Untawahtawa hu. Nehi untawahtawa.
Tawa. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know if that's the word. Ohe, he says. Nehio Nto Watawa. I don't know what that means though. Oh, the scouts. Oh, I see. So it is Ontowatawa. That makes sense. Ontowatawa. That's a short A. Yeah. Nehio Ontowatawa. Cool. That one it doesn't like. That's fine. Chief says, you ever come across the idea of having a podcast in Cree, having just regular conversations and all? That's a good question. Hey, Brandon, thanks for the confirmation there. Audio is good on Facebook. I was just talking with Neil Redcrow about a podcast last night, but I don't think it would be in the language. I was thinking more of a confined, like a limited session podcast, like 6 or 8 episodes. And what I would actually like to do is just, and a couple weeks ago on a live, somebody else was here from another, I forget what language or what nation, and they'd mentioned a podcast, but the idea being just conversations around language learning, like what are different communities, nations, areas doing around language learning, language revitalization, what's working, what do their challenges look like, what's working for them, and just like more of an idea swap. I'd love a conversational thing. It ends up usually fairly structured. Like I did a couple radio episodes with Bill Relic when he was still working at the radio station there, and it ended up being like, let's talk about this word. Like it's got to fit into segments. So a podcast to be cool, man. It's just like then you have to like get people there, and then you have to to have the conversations and stuff. It's challenging because there's a lot of logistics, and then it can start to feel really forced. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. I think it'd be cool. I definitely don't have the time to take on like a podcast project right now. And you kind of want to have fluent speakers, right? I think there was another one. Was it Andrea Custer? And there was a podcast that they did or are doing. I don't even know. I saw it a while ago. When I say they, I can't even cite who it is because I can't remember what the project is called. But yeah, we definitely need more content. Like, so I agree with you. We need more content, conversational content that you could listen to and consume and that kind of stuff. I don't have capacity for that right now. Madison says, Danse, what is the website you are using to get the audio from? So we're working on a story. We have a project. I have a collaboration with the Cree Literacy Network on this project. We're calling the Sweetgrass Stories a 21st Century Perspective. There's a whole story here that I'm not going to get into tonight because this is like, it's a whole thing. The short version is that this elder, Wes Fineday, is as a descendant of another fellow, a great grandson of a fellow named Fineday, who was from Sweetgrass and was one of the informants for both Mandelbaum and Bloomfield in the 20s and the 30s. So just move that over because I see my face is in the way. So we've got a grant through Heritage Canada to go and record stories with Wes and record and like get some of this knowledge basically, but completely at Wes's direction. So he's directing the project entirely. We go to him with all of our questions and like, what does he want to see with all of this? And so far, this has been at his direction. So we're sharing these stories, and this is the one we're working on right here. How Sweetgrass became chief. But you can just go and listen to this story in its entirety on YouTube right now. And we literally just recorded this a few weeks ago in Wes's kitchen at Sweetgrass. I'm headed back there for the second session. We have 4 sessions that we have to do. We might be able to do a 5th, depending what the budget looks like. and if Wes is able, willing. But we have to do 4 sessions, and I'm headed back to, or actually going to Saskatoon this time for the second session on Tuesday. 4 more days and recording. And as I have time, I put all of these stories on I will be putting all of these stories on the YouTube channel. So you can just go find it. If you are on TikTok, you can go, the link should be in my bio. I updated that the other day, I think. And you can find the link to these stories there. There's a way bigger story here. And again, I won't get into it tonight, but just like, because there's these books from Bloomfield, and there was actually a third book, and it was Wes's great grandpa that told some of those stories. And part of this is not really a retelling of some of those stories, but almost like a continuation of some of those stories. And then down the road, I don't know, is there like, will this become a book or something? Like, I don't know. We have to talk about Wes. Like, what does this look like? Do you want a book from this? Do you want to do something else? It's a whole thing, and there's all these threads, and they go in all different directions. It's sort of like I don't even know the word for it. It just, this project that's going in 1,000 directions. It's amazing. Carson says you should go to Big River First Nation and meet Douglas Joseph. Yeah, I am happy to go. I see this as community work, I guess. By the way, this program we're using is called Keanu Transcribe. This is a free project, so if you're doing transcription in any language, but it's designed for Indigenous languages. We have spell checker support for Plains Cree right now, Nehiwiwin. We want to add more languages as the technology becomes available, and if we get the opportunity, we want to be able to help build out some of the technology too. There are projects out there to help do some of that stuff. In the meantime, I've started another project, just because I need another project, called what I'm calling the 2,000 Hours Project. It's more of a concept right now, but the idea being that if you need, say, 2,000 hours of immersion to become relatively fluent in a language, it's depending on the difficulty of the language, of course, but like I'm just using 2,000 as a baseline. It forces the question, how many hours of material do I have access to? It's not 2,000. Is it 200? Is it 500? Is it 300? I don't know. If I scoured all of YouTube, and then can we start keeping track of that for any given language? Because I know there's lots of institutions and organizations that have recordings, but do we have access to them? That's the really, like, accessibility is really the problem. And I don't know if organizations have protocols and all those things, and I get that. Like, there are reasons these things are tucked away wherever they are. But on the flip side, it's like, how do we start? Like, we're in the decade of Indigenous languages, and there's like all kinds of people on TikTok and other places reach out to me, and they're like, how do I get started? How do I get started? And it's like, well, I can tell you how to get started for Plains Cree, for Nehiwiwin, but for other languages, like, I don't know, the resources are kind of scattered, and as you get into the language learning journey, you just have like a Word document or like a notes list or somewhere with all of the things that you found in random places all over the internet, and then it's just like, how do we make things more accessible for language learners? That's the goal. How do we make sure that for any given Indigenous language that there's materials? Do we need to help people learn how to record, how to use equipment, how to archive, how to whatever that looks like? Like, what do we need to do? Because this is the work that needs to be done, right? And I don't want to sound too biased against organizations. Like, I appreciate the work that the organizations do. We're not an organization. Keanu, we're just like grassroots. As soon as we're an organization, then all of a sudden we have bylaws and presidents and board members, and there's like sort of, in a lot of cases, I think like Western accountability structures, but then like all of these liabilities and all of these things come in, and it just seems like there's all kinds of red tape that just sort of starts to fall into place, and projects get really, really slow. It seems like, this is my experience from the outside looking in. It's like, we can't get these things, or we can't access these things for reasons, and all of these reasons exist, and it's like, then we'll just do it ourselves. That's the way we kind of have to do it. Thanks for the subscribe on, I see my emails coming in as people are subscribing to the YouTube channel. As we get more opportunities, we'll put more videos here in the next little bit. So anyway, that's my rant. I would love to go meet Douglas. And if you have an elder or know somebody who would be willing to contribute stories for the purposes of language learning to share with other language learners, I'll do my best to come and help facilitate that. I'll bring equipment, cameras, recording gear. Um, I'll do my best to do that. I've got some people while I'm in Edmonton and making arrangements to meet with some people and just capture that. And again, it's just grassroots. I always tell people when we capture something that this is yours, the copyright is in your name. At any point in time, if you come to me and say I don't want to share this anymore, we'll just take it down. And we won't use this for AI. We won't use this for academic research. We won't let people use this for anything other than the purpose of language learning, language learners learning language. And I think there's a larger conversation around copyright and stuff. I have some opinions that I'm forming around that. I think we need our own laws around this stuff. Like my nation's Métis Nation of Alberta, or the Otipemisuark Métis government now, and it's like, let's just stop using Western frameworks for this stuff. Like, our stories are our stories. We need our own copyright laws or whatever, because like the Western laws don't make sense. They just don't. Western laws, copyright laws, are about like who gets to make money off of this, and that's not how these stories work. That's not how these languages work. It's as soon as we operate in those Western frameworks, we end up in a position where you just can't access it. You just end up in red tape or whatever, and then all of a sudden, that's not the spirit of intent. When you sit down with an elder, right? Whether it's whatever time it is you sit down with an elder, they start telling you stories. The intention is that they're knowledge transferring onto you because community knowledge is collective knowledge, right? It's understood and taught and passed down and that's how transmission happens. Western frameworks don't support that, so we need to go back to our own frameworks. We need to go back to our own laws, or create our own laws, or whatever that looks like, to make sure that accessibility and transmission are happening, in my opinion. I'm going to be in Saskatoon later Tuesday for about not quite a week, probably till Saturday or Sunday. And I'm hoping to do a little visiting. I'm hoping to go to maybe the SICC and meet some folks over there. I'm also hoping to be back in Saskatoon for Language Keepers on November 4th, in and around then. That one's a little more up in the air. I don't know for sure. Cool. Let's do a little bit more. Sorry, I get a little ranty every once in a while. I start talking about language learning and laws and stuff. Been having lots of conversations around copyright lately. Yeah, that'd be great. Carson, just shoot me a message. We can meet up, talk about language. Maybe you can tell me a story.
Gimana gagi papamska chigom.
Gimana gagi papamskacik. Papamskau? What does that word mean? Papamskau. See, I thought so. Bimska, Bamska. What does it mean in this context? Or am I mishearing that? Bipamskachik. Let's listen to the rest and see what it...
Gimana gagi papamska chigom.
I think that's what I'm hearing. Gagi papamska tikulma. Let's just extend that to the end, because maybe it'll help us figure out the rest of the context.
Gimana gagi papamska chigom. Nehio ski sone.
Oh, I see. Nehio ski.
Gimana gagi papamska chigom. Nehio ski sone.
Nehio ski. Now, you know what's interesting about...
Gimana gagi papamska chigom. Nehio ski sone.
Do you hear how... Listen to the stress when he says nehio. Because originally I had it like this. but I think it's actually like this. Nehio as a preverb, because listen to the stress. He's not saying nehio, he's saying nehio askik.
Nehio askik sone.
Has lapcorn?
Good. Yep. Nehio askik sisone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flag that. So nehio should be, preverb should work. Yeah, that should be fine. It's a long I, that's probably the issue here. No, let's see if we can get that to. Yeah, that's sort of the way I'll do my interpretation in a minute. Okay, I'm gonna flag this because I think I'm gonna put it as a new word for now. So let me see, those ones that would papamskatsik that would travel around, paddle around, you know, Nehio country, I guess you would say. Sisune, like alongside. Along, around. Let's listen to some more, see if we can get the rest of the context.
Egi mote chikmane papakanoita koma otatskiwa.
I'm going to shorten that and break it down. It makes me wonder, like, let me just look up, like, he said papamskatsik, but if you say pimiska, no, it definitely is all very much rowing and paddling. Papamska. Yeah, and this is also, because I was just like, I was wondering if there's maybe another, like an implication or interpretation that doesn't have to do with paddling. It's the only way I understand this word is like canoe, like paddling or canoeing, right? Papamska. But in this context, it sort of seems more like it means like travel. Yeah, like you said, walking around, taking care of the land. Eagle Stem Dawes says Utaskiwin, but in a variant. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Egi mote chikmane
Egi Pimote Tikmana, says. Pimote Tikmana. Slide that over.
chikmane papakanoita
Papa. Gonna wait.
mane papakanoita koma.
Gonna wait. Gonna wait. Gonna wait. Doc. Gonna wait them. They took care of it, right? Gonna wait. Ita. Yeah, he protected it or take. They went around taking care of it, I guess. Gonna wait. Dakuma, I think he said. What's the last bit?
Oita koma otatskiwa.
Their land. Duskiwa. Let's listen to that one more time and just make sure I have it.
Egi mote chikmane papakanoita koma otatskiwa.
Yeah. I think that's what he said. You don't hear the in there strongly, but he says papa.
Egi mote chikmane papakanoita koma otatskiwa.
He doesn't say it really strongly, but that's what he means. Went around taking care of it. Yeah. Yep.
Ega yawiake te ho meochi.
Hey guy Aoyak. Ego te opme, is that what he said? It's a long A on A guy, isn't it?
Ega yawiake te ho meochi.
I have to hear the rest of this to understand what he's saying.
e ho meo che ki ka peito te ki ka
Ke kape. Ito pit.
ki ka peito te ki ka pe sikotui.
Oh, there's a longer word there. Yeah, thank you. I was gonna guess because there's it's one of those tricks about language learning, not growing up with the language. Is this is one of those ones where it's like I know all of those words, but when you phrase them in that way, do I understand what he's saying? It seemed like that's what he was saying, but I didn't want to guess because I'm live on the internet right now and I'll get called out.
Ki ka peito te ki ka pe sikotui ko chik.
Sekutsu wigo tik kikape. And Carson says to suddenly scare, to make sure someone from away doesn't come and suddenly scare. He's talking about the scouts, right? Those are the ones he's talking about. They go around about the land, not canoeing. I don't think that's what he means. Not paddling. They go about. They would travel around and take care of their land. Let's see if we can find this last word. Carson's saying to keep them from being scared, or like, would you say like taken by surprise, maybe? I don't know this word, so I'm gonna go find it.
Ki ka peito te ki ka pe sikotui ko chik.
Sisika.
Ki ka peito te ki ka pe sikotui ko chik.
Sisiso. Oh, I can't say it. Let me slow that down a little bit.
Ki ka peito te ki ka pe sikotui ko chik.
Go tsawi. Go tsawi. That's what I'm hearing. I don't think that's it. Let's see if we can find it. Siseko. Si. I think this is it here. This one here. It would be Sisegotsawi Higotsik. Is what it would be. Yeah. Sisegotsawi Higotsik. That happens in this particular cluster right there. That IHI, the reason it's in there, it sounds like, well, let's actually break this down. It's a really good example of when you hear fluent speakers talk about the flow of the language and about like how the language flows. There's reasons that it's spelled this way, because if you look at the word, if you look at the what we call the root, I guess, right? It comes from this word here. Sisagutsueheo, I guess you would say. I hope I'm saying that right. Sisagutsueheo. And so when you break this down, when we first looked at that, let me just grab this one because this is the word we're after. Okay. And this is to startle someone, I guess. What does it say there? There's a bunch of definitions. This one, startle someone, catch them unaware, startle, take by surprise. Yep. So that one startles someone else. When you hear this part there, that IHI, that's very common in the language for that just to sound like a long I, like E sisagutsuwigotsik. That's what it sounds like. Really tempting to spell it like this, but then you lose the bits in there that mean stuff. So they spell it that way for a reason, right? So if we take this back out and we just look at that, I think it popped up. So that sisaguts part, they're saying this is like suddenly, I guess. Sisaguts. Sisigutsaheo. And it looks like there's a lot of ways to say this. But the reason that H is in there, they call this the causative. Lots of words when that ha sound is in there, that, or you can add that sometimes to mean to cause somebody. Like, I don't know, what's a good example? Like if I say atoskeo, right? Atoskeo, like that one works. But if I said atoskeheo, what does that mean now? Right? That H did something. That sound, or it's in there for a reason, right? So if we look that up, what does that mean? Oh, is it atoskaheo? Oh, it's atoskaheo. Okay, so that's, yeah, change that happens. And I knew that too. As soon as I typed it out, it's like, is that an A? But to put someone to work, right? So the atosk part, this part obviously means work. And then this sort of dictates who you're talking about. We're talking about grammar now, right? This is what they call causative. So you could think of it this way. That one puts someone to work. So we sort of look at like the definition now. This part here means that one. And in the grammar we call that the, oh, my thing stopped working. Quit, let me see if I can fix it. Are you back? Ghost mode. There it is, okay. So this part means that one, and if we look at, like, if we treat this specifically grammatically, that's what they call a third person, that person. Like there's me, there's you, and then there's that one, right? So if me and Carson and Eagle Stem are having a chat, or me and Carson are having a chat about Eagle Stem, and Eagle Stem is working, right? Then that'd be atoskeo, that one. Eagle Stem is working, atoskeo. But in this one here, there's actually two people involved, okay? Because these are different types of verbs, I'll say. But really it means this one and then that other one. So Eagle Stem puts somebody else to work. And so that is sort of what they call a causative part. And if you break this down, the parts, atosk, this part kind of means, maybe there's, or atoske, I guess. So some people would argue that that E changes to A, whatever. I don't totally understand that part, but this would be like the work part, right? And then the H part is sort of like causes to, maybe you could say it that way. And then the AO on the end, that's the part that means this person causes that other person. This is the part that changes in a lot of contexts, because if we flipped it around and we said this person it was caused to work by that other person, the word changes, right? It's not atoskaheo anymore, it's atoskaigo. Or atoskahik or atoskaigo. That's what that is, right? So this part on the end we know means this bit. Or this part means the people and the H. So anyway, all of that to say, that's why they write it like this. There's that ego part right there, but it's more than one, so then it becomes ego-tik, right? So they weren't surprised by somebody. Hope that's helpful to dive into the grammar a little bit like that. Yeah, Antine says act on. It really depends on. Act on is like probably a proper or like a good interpretation for some words in some contexts. Like it's one of those things that's so hard to translate, right? Because you can't just say, oh, the H is like acts on or causes to. Like it doesn't work perfectly every time because it really depends on the word. Like it can be different, right? That's what makes it difficult. Brandon says, yes, this is very helpful. Awesome. Glad to hear that. I try not to I don't want to get into the grammar too much unless you really want me to. Rather focus on the story. But I do like to dive in sometimes because there's some parts of this the conversations I think are worth having. Like, why don't we just use a long I? It's like, well, that H is in there for a reason, right? Like it means something. It's the same argument as and this is sort of the SRO argument, if you will, like our consistent writing. I know standard is in the name, but like people prefer, I think I prefer the word consistent. We have a consistent writing system. If you know this word, it means ape, you're telling someone sit, right? And then if you say it differently, eapiak, we are sitting, I guess you could say. There's a temptation to say api. Oh, is that a good example? Imamuapatik, eapiak. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could spell it like this, or like a long I, maybe apiak. But it's actually the Y that's causing that to change. So I'll use a couple examples. Apu, that one sits, which is the same as like di tapun, which would be tempting to spell like di tapun. Maybe you'd want to spell it like that, like chair. But again, they spell it like this because, and then what's one more example? Mamuapuak, or maybe the name for Saddle Lake has up in it. Onidskapuni. Trying to think of another example. Pe. Nitapin. Eapiak. Apu. Tapun. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that the reason we spell it that way, right, in all of these examples, even though this sounds like, if you use English sounds, apu, okay, de tapun, right, what happens here, if we spell it this way, then we can see, whoops, ape in there clearly. So we know these are all related to sitting in some way. It's just at a glance, looking at it, the meaning or the morphemes are still in there, right? There's reasons for all of that stuff. So anyway, there's your little SRO rant for tonight. Oh, somebody sent me a thing. It just got real shiny on TikTok. Thank you for that. Daniel, that's cool. Disclaimer, if you send me stuff, I almost always send that stuff to someone else. So I appreciate it, but I will pass it along, just so you know. So don't feel obligated to send stuff, or if you do, I usually, when I'm on lives from other people that they're just doing cool stuff, I send them the stuff you send me. So Sisakuts. Let's get the proper spelling in there. Sisakutsui. Sisakutsuwigutsik. That's it there. Yep. Reset that. Krigo Forth says, Danse. Teardrop says, I'm going to try to get that glottal right. Spaach. Is that right? Spaach means black bear in Coast Salish. My wife's language is Okanagan Salish, Interior Salish, and Silchin. I'm trying to think of the name for black bear. Oh, and I should know it. Oh, if I ask my daughter, she'll know. Kilauna is a grizzly bear. Kilauna, which is today the name of the city, they call that Kelowna. But Kilauna, that means grizzly bear in my wife's language. Black bear is, oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Black bear is is it Skimheast? I think it's Skimheast. Spaach. I hope I'm saying that right. That's cool. Countryborn says, do you have any Cree prayers I'd like to pray in it? That's a great question, Courtney. I would highly recommend to go, Daniel, I'll come back to your question in a second. Go to this YouTube channel. You can find the link in my bio. So the short version of this is that we're doing a recording project with this elder from Sweetgrass. I'm headed back there on Tuesday to do the second session of 4. In the first session, at the very end on the last day, I asked him, because he had mentioned it, I said, do you have a prayer, just like a general Cree prayer, that we can share with the people who want to learn how to pray in that way? And he did. He talked about it for a bit, then he prayed, and then he talked about it some more. I have that video. It will be on this YouTube channel. I just moved and my life's been absolutely nuts the last month, but it will be here. So go subscribe to this channel because when I have the time, I will upload it there. So you can find the link to this YouTube channel in my TikTok bio. Otherwise, I'd probably just search for Sweetgrass Stories 21st Century Perspective. Probably the Cree Literacy Network post will come up that will take you to this channel. Daniel, I'm using, you mean the app? We're using, this app is called Story Transcribe, so this is my project. One of my projects, so you can go to my site here, kiano.net. This is my site. I'll put it up on the screen. We'll just put it here, kiano.net. Let you take a screenshot if you want. And that'll take you to our language projects. So this is my projects, and we just launched Transcribe in August, the beta. So you can go, you could transcribe any languages with this right now. We have spell checker support for Nahiwu and Plains Cree dialect. But we also have, I'm working on the database right now, which will be launched. I'm working to launch it before the 16th because that's when the Algonquian conference is. I'm headed to Winnipeg on the 16th for this conference. And we want to have support for another language that we found a spell checker for before the conference. And we're working to get the database launched for the conference because it's going to be in my presentation. We're also working on a mobile app, which is phrase-based. You can think of this as async master apprentice, but the answers that come back have audio, and we keep them and build up what I call a language bundle. So as new people come in, we have this ever-growing bundle of stuff that people can. You know what? I'm meeting with Andeg to talk about Anishinaabemowin, like what would it take to get a Anishinaabemowin spell checker going. I believe we were actually supposed to have a meeting, and I think it just kind of, folks get busy. I was super busy. But we're going to be meeting in Winnipeg and hopefully chatting about some of that. At least getting started on it, right? Like, because once we have, the spell checker's not just a spell checker. Like, the big deal about all of these words turning blue seems really, I want to say, it seems like really trivial, but it's actually quite important because what this does, it's not just a spell checker, it's actually an analysis that says, okay, this is a verb, this is the form it's used in, like there's some linguistic analysis in there. And let me see if I can find the website just really quick. If you'll bear with me, I'll actually show you a live demo of the database, of the old version. It's gonna be, I just need to look in my Chrome history and see if I can find the right AWS, the old link to the old thing. Amazon. Otherwise I have to pull up stats. Yeah, that's the new one. That's the new one. I can come back to it. I see all the links now because I'm actively working on getting the new one working. It's just not quite there yet. And actually, one second, let's do it this way. Let's do this. Just trying to get all my screens to play nice. There it is right there. This is the old index. So it looks something like this. And the way this will work, or the way this should work when everything's, if we have an analyzer, transducer, basically a spell checker, then what we can do is we can say, well, these are all of the words that we've encountered across a transcription. So let me take a word like, I wonder if there's one in here we just encountered recently, like something super common. Gaskitao maybe, or Sipweteo. That'd be a good one, right? So here's an example of Sipweteo in context. Gagipe Sipwetet. So in the database, let's see if it's on this list. This is the most common verbs in the old system. At a glance, I don't see Sipweteo, but let's pretend that it was like this one, Itoteo, which is super common, right? So I see that we've come across this 47 times in all of our transcriptions. So I can click on this, right? And I pull in the definition from Itoeona, like our dictionary, which we don't have to. But the cool thing is that what we can see is all of the different, and I apologize, this is super tiny. I'll try and make it bigger. All of the different ways that we've encountered this and how many times we've encountered each. Now, why that's important is because now I can click on one, Gatotean. If I click on it and I scroll down, I can see all of the places in context where that's been used, and I can go listen to it. That's the whole point of this, is I can go in and I can find stuff later. And so when we have an analyzer, basically a spell checker, every time one of these words turns blue, like itotate, so this one, gigape itotate, would be linked in there under this, and there would actually be an entry for gigape itotate. Actually, there's 36, so let's keep going. Gagi. It'd be like this one, right? So then we can click on it and we'd be able to go see that in context. That's the whole point, is that it's like, how do I use that correctly? And then beyond that, if I go back, I can also search, because there's some things that are hard, like just being able to search for something like, there's this rare, I want to say rare, but less common form of a verb that's not even in the dictionary. So this comes from this word witamoeo. I'm just going to use a VTI as an example. Witam, or witam. Let's use that one. Witam, which is like that one tells about something. Okay. Witam. There's this form, it would be ewitamit, and that would be like the X-actor form. It is told about, maybe. Things are told about it. Like, I don't know what the definition would be, but this is the part that's like less common. And if you look in the dictionary, like, it doesn't exist. It thinks it's this other form, ewitamiat, which is not it. It's just not in the dictionary. But in the database, you would be able to go in and search star MIHT, and now we can see all of these places where different verbs were used with that specific ending. That's the point. That's the point of this, is that we can go back and search for things. I call this, like, I have this like super technical term for this process I call rabbit holing. When I'm like chasing this idea, or chasing a word, or chasing something, and looking to find like egitse meat, right? A wap meat. That's actually different. That's X-actor to 3S transitive, I think. But still, the idea is the same. You can just like be able to search for stuff. Even if we don't have a spell checker, I think we'll still be able to do like rich search, because search is just such a useful feature. But if we have a spell checker or an analyzer transducer, then we can get that rich breakdown of like, okay, this is what the verbs are, this is what the nouns are. We can do breakdowns of how they're conjugated and where those live. It's coming. It's coming. So the interesting thing is that this is the old version. We're working on the new version. But what's super cool about this is that this is largely like, because we're grassroots, this is just us transcribing over the course of like 5 years. A lot of it is a friend of mine. His name is Ben. Probably did like 70% of this. I don't even know. I could figure it out. But like you can see here, again, because this is broken down using the Plains Cree, the Nehiwe, and analyzed the transducer, we've come across 2,100 different VAIs, 1,300 VTAs, 1,063 VTIs. This is sort of the breakdown of all of the different word types. And yeah, so it's, and so when you're transcribing, the thing is that if we have the transducer, I'm not building the database. It's just being built as we go. That's the point. As we transcribe this story, which we should do, each of these words that turns blue because they're being analyzed, I'll show you right now. We'll just do the next part. Right. Magagi spin. You see how it just turns blue as soon as I type it? Awiya. So every time that happens, it's a long A in Awiya. No, I think Awi is a problem. This is a problematic word. Because I did this last time. Short A. Awiya. Awiya. Gis.
Magagi spinoya tago teichiga.
Tago teiche. I wonder if that's Dago De Yitse, because this is obvious. But you see how it turned blue, right? It would go in the database automatically, because the transducer knows that if we put this in here, and this is it way when we're using the transducer from this team, Dagotetse, it knows exactly what form it is when that other one arrives. It comes from the word Dagoteo. It's VAI1. And if we look at all of the variations, it's going to be under, where is it? Down in the future ones. Dagotetse, this one. That's the one we're looking at. So it knows it's that other person. It's the future conditional form, and it comes from Tagoteo. So we can spit it in the spit it into the database that way. And all of that happens behind the scenes. Oh, I gotta reload. There's this issue that comes up every once in a while. Oh, sometimes he just gets talking so fast, eh? Okay, back up a little bit. Okay, wait. Gawapamatik. Oma, did he say? Egwa. I think he meant Gika. Okay, Egwa. Kape, I've run into this word before. Why no paitik? Why you no paitik? What does that mean again? Why no payu? Why you know? Why you know? What does that mean again? Turn around, suddenly turn around. They could turn them around is what he's saying. Why no payu? Why no paitik? So this one here, yeah, Carson says if someone came by, then they will see them and they can turn them around. Let me just finish this section.
kawapa machige go kape wai no pai chigo mai sini na kasi.
O mai sininak. Yasinin nak. What's the last little bit? What's the Okanagan Salish word for black bear? Is it skimheast?
Black bear?
Yeah.
Skimheast.
Skimheast, right. Okay. Cool. Brain's working today.
Machige go kape wai no pai chigo mai sini na kasi ko.
Yeah, because grizzly bear is Kilauna.
Kilauna, yeah.
Yeah.
Machige go kape wai no pai chigo mai
Just go-
sini na kasi ko.
Isse. Sounds like a false start at the end. I probably took a break. Let's listen to the whole thing and just make sure I didn't miss anything.
Magagi spinau ya tago te chiga kawapa machige go kape wai no pai chigo mai sini na kasi ko.
So here he actually meant ga when they see them. It's not ga, it's ga. Ga wapamatik. So then, but if someone arrives, someone else, when they're seen, when they see them, then gape why no paitik, they can turn them around from that land, I guess.
Magagi spinau ya tago te chiga kawapa machige go kape wai no pai chigo mai sini na kasi ko.
Oh, is he saying gawe at the end? Let's listen to the next section and see what that sounds like. Brandon says, this is going to be super helpful when I am transcribing also. When is this available again? It's available now. You can use this right now. If you go to, you can go to my site, kiano.net, kiano.net or bundle.kiano.net. You can access transcribe right now. The database for Nehuiwin will be available like right away in the next few weeks. I'm working on it right now. I'm trying to have it ready. I'm trying to have it ready for the Algonquian conference on the 16th. And I should have it ready. So, but you can go transcribe right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Ki kape wihta moa chigo hai sino a ki ga woi to samu goche.
He says gega for that infinitive, what we call the infinitive. So we learn this, if I say ta apian, like we're talking about me to sit, right? For me to sit, or I should sit, you could think of it that way. Some regions will say gita apian. Means the same thing. I've even seen gita apian. And we're not talking about this part of the word, I'm just talking about the front part. The part that means, we learn it means two. It doesn't really mean two, but in some contexts it means, like more often than not. But he says geka a lot. So these are the two that I used to hear most often. I've only seen, I think, this in books. And this is the one that Wes uses a lot. Geka. Which can be confusing because in the independent mode, it means a totally different thing. Geka bin means something else. You are going to sit. Or you will sit. That's not even that. You will sit. And then this one, if you said geka apien, for you, like it means now you to sit. So similar but different. They mean, or you could sit, you should sit. It could mean those in the right context. Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, gawe is a long A. Thank you. I'm not sure he says that though.
Spinau ya tago te chiga kawapa machige go kape wai no pai chigo mai sini na kasi ko.
Is he saying gao at the end? I think he does, right? I see ni knock. I'm surprised that doesn't I see in the Knox because it's a long A, that's why. And this one I'm going to flag. I'm going to put, we're pretty confident on that one, so I'll put new word, and then this one. So then there's a couple issue types here, so I'm flagging these. This one turns yellow. By default, if you flag a word, I didn't do these ones. I'll actually go back and do it. But like, you see this one here, by default, they fall under a category called needs help. Eventually we'll have a list, a place like an issue browser. So somebody like Janelle just joined us, or like maybe like a Wayne Jackson or Neil Redcrow can go in for a language and see all of the, if there's a setting in here, and I haven't built this, I'm working on it, but there's a setting in here called public issues. And what that'll mean is if this is turned on, then any of the issues that you, any of the issues in your transcription, the needs help category, the red ones, they'll go into a place where logged in users working on that language can see the things that you've marked as I need help with this, and then they can contribute a comment and say this is what this is, or right, can have some discussion about what a word means. So that's one list. Then the other two are, the yellow ones are, we can send them back to the people who make the spell checkers and say this is a good word, it's in the dictionary clearly, but the spell checker's not picking it up for whatever reason. And then the green ones, we actually intend to send these ones back to the people who make the dictionary and say like, we're pretty confident this is like a good word, it's not spell checking, and it's also not in the dictionary that we can find. And so here's what they call an attestation. We heard it here, and so then if they wanted to include that down the road, then they could.
Kikape wihtamoa chiko haishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
Kikape wihtamoa chik. Wihtamo or Wihtamo. It's a long I in Wihtamo. No. Yes. That one I'm always confused about. Wihtamoa chik. Now again.
Kikape wihtamoa chiko haishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
Okay. Aisinua. They could tell these people.
Kikape wihtamoa chiko haishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
You need to get out of here. Did he say bay again? Let me shorten that so we just listen to the end bit.
Ishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
Why eat? Why it's like this. Why eat? Why eat? That's what I'm hearing.
Ishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
Yeet? That's what it sounds like, but that doesn't make sense. Is there a X actor form? Why? It's why-a-wheel is the word. Why ye? No, maybe I just don't know this word.
Ishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
Sam.
Ishino akiga wui to samu wuche. Ishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
I'm struggling with this one. It sounds like ogoche. Oge. Does he mean these ones? Oche. Let me play the whole thing, and then I'm gonna move on to this next chunk here. Maybe that'll help with what's.
Kikape wihtamoa chiko haishino akiga wui to samu wuche.
I don't know this word. So this is an instance where I'm just gonna flag this one and we'll move on. And so this is that red category, like I just need help with this. If I deselect the region, that's this little button right here. We're on 310, but if I deselect this, I can actually see, my face is kind of in the way, but I can actually see all of my issues. I have 122 issues in this transcription so far. So I don't have any filtering or anything here right now. I will. I'll build that in soon. But right now you can kind of just go through and then you can navigate to the different ones. And the whole idea is that at the end of a transcription there won't be any. That's the goal.
Ki ka pe wihta moa chiko haishino a ki ga wui to samu goche.
Okay, so let's do this one.
E pe a chikchige. E pe a chikchige.
Epe. Tige. Sorry, that's backwards. Oh. Wawe. Okay, thank you, Janelle. See why I thought? See, I kind of thought that, but in context, what does it mean? What is preparing them? Oh, because of those people there. I get it now. Okay.
Ki
Let's
ka
go back to
pe
that.
wihta moa chiko haishino a ki ga wui to samu goche.
Would prepare the people because of those ones that are coming. Is that what that means? One more time.
Ki ka pe wihta moa chiko haishino a ki ga wui to samu goche.
Wawe ye heat. Is that right? Wawe, yeah. Wawe heat. Let's see if the. Oh, it's a long I. We're getting into like fairly complex. Not only just phrasing, but concepts. And so now I'm in that place where I'm like, I can feel it pushing on my brain a little bit, like pushing on having to stretch my thinking a little bit to be like, okay, how would you interpret that? For them to prepare them. Let me just back up. I want to listen to that first one
Ma ka
before.
ki spinau ya ta go te chika kawa pa ma chika go ka pe wai no pai chiko mai sini na ka chika. Ki ka pe wihta moa chiko haishino a ki ga wui to samu goche.
It sounds like he's saying he would prepare the people in camp because of these ones that have arrived. But I'm prepared to be wrong about that.
E pe a chikchige.
The ones that have come near, I guess. Does that make sense? Let's keep going.
A poi te ge.
Can I ask a question really quickly, Papa?
We're live on TikTok right now. Is it
Do you
really
know when you're going to be done?
really important? Yeah, we're going to be done. Let's see, 8:29. So we've gone a little bit. We'll go 15 more minutes. We'll see if we can get a little bit more of this done, and then we'll wrap up. Okay.
It's just supper's done.
Awesome.
Patient for time, my phone.
Because I am
A poi te
hungry.
ge.
Puetagwe. Some people write this as one word. Puetagwe. Like this. Puetagwe. Even when there's like what they call sandy, like when the words collapse together, I still tend to write them out as two words. Like I understand that process happens, but I want these to be discoverable. So writing them as two words means that the spell checker will pick them up and they'll get indexed correctly.
Na mo e mi o sini ki go ga pe o se mo te chik.
Yeah. Mia Siniak. I think he said Moi Mia Siniak.
Na mo e mi o sini ki go ga pe o se mo te chik.
Kigwe.
Na mo e mi o sini ki go ga pe o se mo te chik.
Oh, okay, I gotta slow that down because it's just there's so much in there.
Ikkigoi kapeo sip mohteichik.
Motetik. Let me just listen to the whole thing in one go here. Yes. And so an example of that is it is the third person. We don't call it a subordinate. Is a very specific clause in our. We call it a conjunct. So say apitik, but some regions. So maybe you'd say they. That's that your third person plural are sitting, or as they sit. You could say it that way. Some regions, though, say e apituao, which we see in the future, what do they call it? The future conditional, the if context. E apitik or e apituao. But we call this conjunct. The subordinate clause specifically for us is ga. Okay. Let's keep going. A little bit more. I said 15 minutes, so we'll just go a bit more. Hopefully I haven't missed any comments. Looks good over there.
Ykse sanma.
Exe Sanma, which he says a lot, eh? We're half an hour into this story, just about. Let's get to the 30. Maybe we get to 30 and change. Exe Sanma. Love it.
Kipeä. Osamu se iko kegi nesto set.
Yeah. Call it a false start. Kipeaya.
Kipeä. Osamu se iko kegi nesto set.
Samutse ego, he says.
Kipeä. Osamu se iko kegi nesto set.
Yeah. Iginestosit. Usamutse. How would you interpret that? It's not even, it's one of those things. This is called a particle phrase, or I call it that. I don't know if it's called that. I call it particle phrase. You put two particles, look, Osama is like because, Ote is like from there. Ote can be from, for, with, by, or because, I guess. Ote can mean a lot of things. Osamote, which my brain wants to say is like because of that, maybe, or I don't know, like Janelle, if you're still there, how would you interpret that? Osamote. Because of that, he was super tired. Like iaguk. That's another one of those ones that's like iaguk. To that extent, I guess, sufficiently, so much, to such a degree, to such an extent. Yeah, because of that, I guess. Yeah, it's kind of similar to like elgoche, usamoche. Like it makes sense to me now, but I guess I'm just like understanding what that means literally right now as I'm listening to this. It's interesting how language learning works. As soon as he said osamoche, goke nesto sits, like the last part of that sentence help inform my brain what the first part of that sentence meant, which is super interesting. The power in just listening to the language a lot.
Kanstogi sigaigoma.
They said that again. Ki sigayik. On the third day. Would you interpret it that way? On the third day? Because of how tired he was. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks for that.
Kapn tehtaptohe misattemo.
Kapn be. It sounded like he said deitapit.
Kapn tehtaptohe misattemo.
No, deitapt. What is he saying there? Dehtapit? It's, but it doesn't sound like it. Dehta. One more time.
Kapten dehtaptohe misatemo.
Something here mistatemwa. Is there like a transitive in there? One more time.
Kapten dehtaptohe misatemo.
Maybe it is dehtapit. Dehtapt. Kapten dehtaptohe. It's interesting the way Cree flows sometimes. Anthony says, do you always include your false starts in clip with the rest of the sentence? I liked, I guess an argument could be made either way, right? I think somebody convinced me, it was probably Ben, maybe, to put them in there. If you read the books that from like Wolfart or Frida Henneque, I'm pretty sure they do that. And the reasoning in the front portion, like preface or whatever they call it, I read in there somewhere that like Wolfart was saying like these books can never truly recreate the actual story, like the actual environment of like listening to the fluent speaker, and they worked really hard and like so diligently to try to just like accurately represent the words of the speaker. Like they worked really hard, so then they'd put they, even if the speaker slipped up or used the wrong word or whatever, they would put it in there because then it represented with the most accuracy possible of what the speaker had said. They didn't want to like try and infer or interpret, oh, they really meant this, we'll change that word. Like they didn't do any of that. And so I guess maybe it's just like kind of a carryover from that, where it's just like I feel like, well, the person said it, so I'll just put it there. Because if anything, it just brings awareness to like, we don't speak perfectly all the time. We make false starts all the time. And it's just interesting. And sometimes I think the false starts also, like where I'm at this level of language, they almost help a little bit sometimes, where it's like, oh, they were about to say this, but then they changed their mind and filled in with this first. Like, I still think it's relevant information, even if it's in a really nuanced or subtle way. Antinace says, oh yes, always include the false starts. It just meant keeping it in the clip as opposed to separating. Oh, I see. Okay, sorry, I went on about that for nothing. Put it into a different clip. I mean, I guess I could do that. I never really thought about that before. I always assumed that these will become subtitles for the video, so I always try to make my clips a little bit longer so it's not like tiny little slices. Yeah, I mean, I guess could always kind of do it later too, I guess. Is there a specific reason you'd want them separate? Is it just more like what would you get from that? It's interesting. He was shaking? He was shaking, it sounded like, from being tired. Nanan. No, that's not it. Because shaking is numpayit, right? Numpayu? Nanam. But it sounds like a different word. Oh, falling asleep. What's the word, Janelle? I gotta, one more time. Nan paypayit, nan Nipepayu. Something like that. Oh, Nipepayu. Oh, I get it. It's interesting how that works. Okay, wait a minute. Like, that's so interesting, right? We just did that before where it was like, why, when you take atoscale and you want to make it transitive, that E turns into an A. That happens a lot. Like, I can't think of another example right now. Or even like transitive, even in like a VTA or a VTI, that happens a lot. Like if you go home, giweo, but if you take something home, is it like giwe tao or something? Giwe tao? Something like that. But like that sound change happens, eh? And then so this is happening too, because like I would have thought that you could say like, because nipao, that one sleeps, right? Oh, but if it's an A, then it sounds like you killed them. That would be why. Because if you said nipa, well, I would have guessed though nipapayu. I would have guessed that, but in fact it's nipepayu. It's interesting why that sound change happens. That's really interesting. Yeah, okay. And another thing that Wes does is he uses like lots of reduplication in his stories, which I hope someday to bayit. Egipim nan pe bayit.
Egypt na nan pepait.
Nan
Ego ke nesto sit.
nan right?
Egypt na nan pepait. Ego ke nesto sit.
He reduplicates that twice. Nana. It sounds like that.
Egypt na nan pepait. Ego ke nesto sit.
I guess he was just like to the nth degree tired. Maybe? I don't know if this is right. That's just what I'm hearing. Nanan pepait. I'm going to leave it for now. Not saying it's right.
Magigi kustak.
He was scared. Maga. He had been scared. Oh, that makes sense, right? Well, there's the way I understand the way that I understand duplication is there's short and then there's long, and one of them is like now and again, and then the other one is like repeatedly, and this has both. So it's just like both, I guess. Super interesting. Janelle says repeatedly kept falling asleep. Yeah, that's super cool. That's super cool. Okay, let's a little bit more, then we'll, because I'm have to go. I already got called out. I'm gonna have to go eat supper here pretty soon.
Magigi kustak.
Egigo stuck. Let me just grab the rest of this and we'll see.
Kika nagit kika mayastisi.
He was terrified to nagit, to stop.
Kika nagit kika mayastisi.
Ayastese, to rest. Is that what word means? So the word I understand for rest is aiwe be, but Wes uses this word a lot, and I'd never heard it before.
Kika nagit kika mayastisi.
Kika mayastese. I aste sit. Is that the right one?
It's
Yeah.
been 15 minutes.
I know. Astesu. No. But yeah, and I'm sure that's what he says.
Kika nagit kika mayastisi.
I give myself time on my phone.
Tisqua. Okay. We're live on the internet right now, so
Yeah.
please don't.
Okay. Hello, live on the internet peoples.
Chucky says, yeah, this is Plain Scree Nihuiwin. Nihuiwin. Plain Scree-Y dialect. I think this is right, so I'm going to flag this one. Rest. Aiwepe is the one that I understand. Aste sin. Oh, there it is right there. I just spelt it wrong. Aste si. That's what he's saying. Because it's not aste su, it's aste sin. And it's a long A. Aste sin. But I'm not hearing a long A, but that's fine.
Magigi kustak. Kika nagit. Kika pumayaste si.
Oh, he does have a long A. Aste si. Okay. Colin says, Tiesqua means big in niche. Interesting. Yeah, super interesting. Okay, we'll do one more.
Nanto se pe no sa te go chohe.
Nanto pe
Nanto se pe no sa te go chohe.
Nawaswa Tego Tik, did he say?
Nanto se pe no sa te go chohe.
Nanto is se. Makes more sense, I think.
Nanto se pe no sa te go chohe.
Nawaswa to be chased. Nawaswa Tego Tik.
Nanto se pe no sa te go chohe.
And actually, I know what it is he's saying now. Is. You don't always hear all of those in there, but pretty sure that's what it is.
Magigi kustak. Kika nagit. Kika pumayaste si.
So he was afraid to stop to take a break.
Nanto se pe no sa te go chohe.
In this case, Nanto, boy, how would you interpret that? Like, not really, like, probably, like, Nanto. Could it mean likely? Let's see. We learned Nanto is like about, but it can mean a lot of things depending on the context. In some way, I wonder if that's somehow he was being chased, or somehow those ones were chasing him. Maybe it could be interpreted that way. Interesting in context. Okay, let's do one more.
Nan apot ki gumskagu gishmin pat.
I got that. I put the great part.
Apot ki gumskagu gishmin pat.
They're gonna find him. Gamskagut, I think he said.
Apot ki gumskagu gishmin pat.
Oh, Gamska. Go.
Apot ki gumskagu gishmin pat.
Spin. Nipache, if he sleeps. Ah. Cool. When he was telling this story, I probably I knew a little bit of the story and I knew the context, so I knew what he was saying. But it's so interesting to go through and slice out each word and be like, oh, that's what he said. Oh, interesting. Or some of these more complex phrases or passages that are like, what does that mean? Right? Like I know where the story's going, but what is the nuance, I guess I'll say, hey? What is the nuance in the story? So super interesting. Well, since I'm being harassed now.
I'm harassing him. He is confirmed. I'm confirming it.
Since I'm being harassed, I need to now.
Oh, I can't see the top of your head.
Now shut things down, which is fine. I gotta go eat supper. Magai, Kakio ay kitam skat now alkanaskum tinaw mina. Kakio gapi witapimiek anutska tipskag. We got a lot of work done tonight. Mr. Hitoski win. How would you say that? Egisita, yeah.
It's got whiskers.
We finished
Whiskers.
a lot of work. And so I'm going to be in Saskatoon this week. I'm heading there Tuesday. Let me see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, we will do a live stream Sunday. I'll be back again in Edmonton Sunday night, probably in the same format. Possibly not on TikTok, just because, or TikTok will be different because they're going to shut me down again. I snuck a live stream in there tonight. If I can get 2 hours of video gaming in this week on TikTok, then probably they won't shut me down. But otherwise, if you're not, if you follow us on Facebook, my page is Kiano. And if you jump on there, we'll be streaming live on the Facebook page. Moving forward, and then also on my TikTok, where you should be able to find the link in my bio.
Oh, are you
Or not, sorry, not TikTok, YouTube. You can find me on YouTube. I'll be streaming live Sunday nights there as well.
Are you streaming on Facebook and on TikTok?
Facebook and TikTok and YouTube tonight. So, okay, we're gonna finish up there. And I'll leave the stream open for maybe just another minute in case there's any last minute questions or comments. And any last minute salutations. And we'll also, once we get this transcription finished, again, you can find these stories on YouTube under Sweetgrass Stories, A 21st Century Perspective. As we have the transcription, as we get closer to finished or something like that, we'll also be having what we're calling I call it a theater, but maybe it'll be like a listening library where you can go and view the finished transcription at some point. We have that in the works too. So push all the buttons, tune into all the things. Chucky says, how should I start learning Cree? I would recommend, there's a pinned post in my bio on TikTok. It's a gray book. I would start with that because there's free audio from Gino Kimasis on that. And there's a book, Cree Language of the Plains, and then there's also a workbook. And then the audio for all of the workbook. The links are in that. You watch that video, you get started there, and that'll give you a good start. And then connect with other learners. Find a class, depending on where you're from. There's classes going all the time. Lots of them are on Zoom. Lots of the if you're in community, find out if your communities has classes going on. If a nearby community has classes, if you're in the city, Edmonton, Saskatoon. Not sure if there's Cree classes around Calgary that I know of, but I mean, there's online classes, Zoom classes happening all the time, especially in the fall. And just start working on it. Connect with learners, connect with fluent speakers. Yeah, listen to the language every day. All right, 30 more seconds before we shut it down. Any last minute comments or questions? All right, got some new folks in on the YouTube channel. Yeah. Mia sine tago sini ek anuts ka tipskag. Nimitino mata pe tap gyogato yak. Da witsito yak, da sito scato yak, to support each other. Mia sinoma. Si tetaman gap upinamakum kipigskono. This is how we lift our language up is by supporting each other, connecting and working together. So, okay, we're going to shut her down there. Again, I appreciate you all. Thanks for joining in tonight, and we'll be back next Sunday, right around the same time, 6 o'clock-ish, 6 o'clock Mountain probably next week. And yeah, mio tips kansik, kakio, egg se pitama. Ja, muestas.